10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
How you got me now? How you got me now, Corey? All right. It was, we're good. We're off and running. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody, on a Wednesday. It's been a trip, hasn't it? Thank you, Corey, for that. It's a team effort around here. Listen, I'm going to tell you before we get into the down to business. Hello, Carlos in Indiana. Hello, Monty in Saskatoon. Hello, Jason in Red Deer. Hello, Ryan in upstate New York. Here's the deal, and I'm just going to say this once. You've been watching this show for years. This is today episode number 1731. And I've said for years, this show is like a sports franchise. It's like a league, right? We have apparel, we have TV deals, we have radio deals, streaming deals. We have all of this. Did I say merchandise? Yeah, apparel. The problem there is those teams and leagues all have an off season. Here we do not. Okay, we go every day. It's big. It's immense. So over the last couple of days, couple of weeks, we've been going through system upgrades, maintenance, and we're back. And I told you last week, I said changes were coming, but I wasn't really at liberty to say with regards to Game TV, Game Plus TV. So we are off Game Plus TV for the month of May, but then we'll be back. Okay? Will it be at the same time? I don't really know. It's their channel. Okay? But what Vegas people. We've been rocking it all throughout on Silver State Sports. That has not changed. For whatever reason, they like us there. But anyways, we've been going through some things, and we're back today, and I'm very happy to see that you are all here with us today and going live. Yesterday, just so you know, we did a show to tape and then posted it later, and it went great with these system upgrades. But I wasn't interested in doing that again today, and because I want to talk with you. It's a Wednesday, and we're going to have some fun here today with everybody. Colt has showed up from San Diego. Where are the Canadians at? Okay, wait, hang on. On cue, John Ohm has shown up. And I was just going to say, because we're not on Game Plus TV, I kind of thought we could get rowdy and I could swear in hour one. But I'm like, wait a minute. No, I can't. We're still on WQVZ. And just to be clear, I would never, ever be dropping F-bombs. That's just not in me. Hello, Tony from Cochrane. I was wondering where you were at. The gang's, I feel like here on the warm-up for Neil Chark of Uniglobe Carefree Travel, that we could just sit here and say hello to everybody and just sit here and talk and all the rest. But let's just have some fun, which I feel like we are having fun. But for this opening hour, it's the Larry King of Sports, Tony and Cochrane. Hello. Kevin the Medium writes in and he says thank you, Kevin, for reminding us, Kevin the Medium, that we are a sports show. He says, still not in a good headspace. The Leafs? Seriously? LOL, I hate hockey. Oh, man. Okay, Kev, what? Don't inject logic or get us on track here. I had two very important phone calls last night. One was with Kevin the Medium after the NHL Draft Lottery, and he was crying. Kevin, if you don't mind me saying, Kevin was crying. He was crying over the Leafs winning the draft lot and not his Vancouver Canucks. And it's funny, by the way. Can I ask you all this, all those that have tuned in right now? What's the first thing you heard when you saw Toronto? Or what's the first thing you thought when you saw Toronto win the draft lottery? Because full disclosure, here's mine. Okay. I went to a meeting last night, 7 p.m. Eastern, Patch Reef Park here in Boca. And it hasn't been very well attended of late. So I'm like, I hope there's not many guys there. So I can just turn around and go home and watch the draft lottery. No. Bunch of people showed up. So I couldn't watch the draft lottery. Kevin the Medium has written in to corroborate the fact that, yes, he was crying. I don't lie here. That's why people love this show. I knew, Kevin, I knew you wouldn't mind that I told people that you were in tears. So you know who told me that the Leafs had won the draft lottery? Jared Dumba, the Tulsa King, who's coming up in hour two in our special guest spot today for Prairie Panels. The Tulsa King told me. I'm like, Toronto? And I got to quote Gord Stellick from NHL Radio, who I was listening to today. Gordy said the exact same thing I thought. Toronto? Well, my first thing I thought was the poor kid. That's what I thought. Gavin McKenna, the poor kid. That's what we think of Toronto, okay? And then Gordy Stellick goes, Toronto? We didn't even think about Toronto, was what Gord said. We ran the poll yesterday. Who do you want to win? Vancouver won the poll, by the way. Chicago, the Rangers had the best odds. Nobody was even thinking Toronto. Which, by is another thing. What's BW in Edmonton saying? Because I can confirm I saw Kevin's reaction to the draft. Okay. And the draft's not fixed. I mean, it's in my commentary today. It's not fixed. The only problem is when you have results like last night, it's very hard to convince people that the lottery's not fixed. It's not fixed. It's like they should have let Arizona win it one of those years just to prove that it's not. Who would want Arizona to win? Or Columbus, who's never won the draft lottery. But it's not fixed. But before we take a break here in the opening segment, which is just going swimmingly, thank you all. Especially you, producer Corey, for making that happen. I had another call last night, and he's probably watching right now. He wasn't crying, but he was close. A guy that's been on this show. Well, he said that I could go ahead. Bob Marrier, a sober coach to the Stars. He's been on this show a couple times. Very close friend of mine. was going in for emergency cancer surgery today in Montreal. 1 p.m. Eastern. Was big deal. Yep. And Bob called. Well, my FaceTime went off as I was watching the Minnesota-Colorado. I'm like, FaceTime? Nobody FaceTimes me. Well, one guy does. Oh, Bob Merrier. Sober coach to the Stars. They got the sober coach, Rob Ford, and all the rest. And he told me about his health situation. He told me about his cancer battle. He told me what he was facing. And then we stayed on the phone on the FaceTime for quite a while. And I said, when I didn't hear from you with the Canadiens playing the Lightning in the round one, I figured something wasn't right, but I didn't want to bother you. And this was it. And and then we talked about, to quote him, how much the Leafs suck, the Sens suck. You got to know, Bob. And I said this morning, can I make a post wishing you well, Bob? And by the way, I love you. And he goes, post away. And then he told me today the surgery's been postponed. So, oh my God. If that helps you, Kevin the Medium, that the Canucks didn't win the draft lottery, I don't even know if it will. But we'll be right back. Thanks for joining us, everybody, in the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lady Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the warm-up. It's the RP Show presented by Uniglobe Carefree Travel and Neil Chark, the official travel partner of the RP Show and the BC Lions. I will just get back to sports in a second, but we are really seeing now how this show is different than every other show. And we could have done what we did yesterday, just posted it to YouTube later. I can talk to myself, but I'd rather not. I'd rather talk to you. And before we jump into the hockey stuff, Vancouver Eric writes in and he says, the Canucks losing the draft, not really that important after that story, RP. And for those that have just tuned in, I was just saying my good friend Bob Merrier is going in for emergency cancer surgery today. Look him up, okay? He is a sober coach to the stars. The most, like I do it with regular people. Bob's got the big time people. And he called me about going into the surgery. And I'll tell you a funny story about that. And he goes, how long do I have you? I said, you have me for as long as you need me, Bob. We talked, and I said, didn't you go through this a while back? And he goes, yeah, that was, and he will not mind me saying this, cover your ears if you get offended. He goes, that was prostate cancer. That was nothing. They shove some things up your ass. Some people are into that. But this is big. This is big. This is bigger. And, but he's getting through it, and they postponed the surgery. So they wouldn't, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. So everybody's writing in and saying prayers up for Bob. And, of course, he is a great one. And it's just how we talk to each other. We are our own tribe. And thank you, Rob, from Windthorst for writing in and wishing those. You're part of that tribe as well. So, okay, back on point. Do we want to talk about the actual games? Because, to be perfectly honest, I want to sit here and talk about the Leafs and Chayka forever, but back on point. What happened on the actual ice? Nathan McKinnon had a goal and 2 assists. Martin Necas had a goal and a helper. And the Colorado Avalanche beat the visiting Minnesota Wild 5-2 Tuesday night to take a 2-0 lead in that second-round best-of-7 Stanley Cup playoff series. Watched it. I'll be honest with you. This isn't going to be a long series. Like, Minnesota's good. They can't hang. And trust me, I'm going to get on to everything else that you all want to talk about, but we just have to talk about the games and what went on. So the poll question today for our friends at Country Thunder, which the biggest party of the summer is coming to Craven, July 9th to the 12th at Country Thunder, Saskatchewan. We'll be there, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Who's in more trouble? Down 0-2, Philadelphia or Minnesota? And leading the poll is Philadelphia, just so you know, but I should have put both. Because they're not going to win. They're not coming back. I think Philly's got to – it's hard. Carolina and Colorado both seem way too determined to get to the Stanley Cup. They're both 6-0. They haven't lost yet. So that's the poll question. Now, okay, let's get to the juicy stuff. And I'll get to the viewer comments in a second. Like I said, I can sit here and talk to myself forever. A lot of guys do. I'd rather go back and forth with you. So the Toronto Maple Leafs will have, and by the way, did you guys answer yet? What's the first thing you thought when you saw Toronto won the draft lottery? Because the first thing I thought was the poor kid. That's the first. He could have gone to Vancouver. I wouldn't have felt that way. I might have. I wouldn't if he'd gone to Chicago or the Rangers or San Jose. But Toronto, poor kid. The Leafs will have the first pick at next month's NHL entry drafted in Buffalo after winning Tuesday's draft lottery. The Leafs, who had an 8.5% chance of securing the pick, will select ahead of the Sharks and Vancouver Canucks. Oh, man. You know that I could talk about this forever, right? It's the third time the Leafs have had the number 1 overall pick. They selected Austin Matthews in 2016 and took Wendell in 1985. Let's just call him Wendell because that everybody knows who he is. Laverne's watching in the Frontier City. Thank you, Laverne. He found us here on YouTube. He's a regular viewer on Game Plus TV. He says, the question is, are the Leafs taking Gavin McKenna? Let me just walk this back. And Brent in Saskatoon writes in, he says, the Leafs will find a way to blow it. That's what I thought. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Nowhere have I seen anybody say that he's going to save the Leafs. Nobody said that. And the reason I bring that up is, on our television partner in Vegas, I follow the Vegas fans and the media and all what they all say. And they're all like, Fernando Mendoza is going to save the Raiders. And no, he's not. No, he's not. And it seems like Leaf fans and hockey fans know The Leafs have way bigger problems than can be fixed by one 19-year-old kid. Jason in Red Deer says the Leafs have missed the playoffs 2 times in the last 11 years, and both times won the lottery. The Coyotes missed the playoffs 11 times and didn't win the lottery once. Well, I haven't won the lottery either, so I don't know if you're saying that it's fixed or something. It's not fixed. I don't know. I know that's maybe just stats that you're throwing that out there, but Bill writes in, he says, so I am a bit happy with the first round pick. The Leafs fans should be. Hey, well, here's the thing. Utah Darren, thank you, Utah Darren. He writes in, he says, the first thing I thought was when the Knicks won the Patrick Ewing NBA lottery. We all think that the night of the NHL Draft Lottery with the Knicks and how the NBA did that. But I don't know the NBA enough at all. I don't know it at all. But with the NHL, I can tell you there is zero chance. There's just no chance that it's rigged. But back to the Leaf thing and John Chayka. So even non-hockey people are following what went on with Steve Simmons and John Chayka and Keith Pelly the other day. I don't mind talking about this. Oh, my God. So I'm just checking the time here. Isn't it ironic, to quote Alanis Morissette, that Steve Simmons was just on this show last week? So for those that don't know who he is, now you know. If you're watching this show, you know who he is. Oh, my God. What a machete attack on the Leafs. Let's just walk it back for a second. The Leafs hold a news conference on Monday with the president, Keith Pelly, announcing John Chayka as the general manager, the former Arizona Coyotes GM, and Matt Sundin. The reason I'm bringing it up again is there's new information, or at least new to me. And Matt Sundin is, let's call him the president, whatever made-up name they made. And Simmons stands up and says, Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun. Keith, I talked to 20 hockey people. You would know their names. And they all describe this guy right here as a con artist, a salesman, and a sham. I think was the third term sham. Oh, my God. Did you see Keith Pelly's face? It's like he just took a swig of sour milk. Well, I guess we're talking to different people. As the layers of the onion get pulled back here, it just gets worse and worse and worse in a million ways. And to be honest, I look at I got so many good friends in the Leaf media, one of which being Jim Lang, and he's like, this team hasn't won a cup since '67. There's no hope now. And so I'm sorry, Bill, you might want to earmuff it, Bill in the Queen City, because it's bad. Just hang on a second. The comments are coming in fast and crazy. I appreciate you all for doing that. But I just want to get this off my chest because I had heard. I spent an hour on the phone or more last night with a gentleman that was dealing with a serious cancer battle. I wasn't doom scrolling. So somewhere along the way, I saw this quote from Biznasty that he's out on the Leafs. So just this morning, I did a deep dive on what Paul Bissonnette has to say, because you have to understand something. Bissonnette played for the Coyotes. He still lives in Phoenix. He said, you probably all know this. You probably all knew it before I did, but I just discovered it this morning. Biz goes, I'm out on the Leafs with this guy. And the former PR guy of the Coyotes, Rich Nairn, know him well, went to Twitter and said, this guy, John Chayka, is the reason Shane Doan got run out of the Coyotes. So I'm kind of sitting here going, Keith Pelly, bro, somebody said to me the other day, Keith doesn't look very good here. You think? You could have called me, Keith. But here's the inside stuff without telling you too much about how the sausage is made. And by the way, for all of you that are talking about prospects and who will go behind Gavin McKenna or instead of Gavin McKenna, it's going to be McKenna. Here's how it works. Sorry to get back my train of thought there for a sec. And I don't like it. And the media world's not a whole lot different. So if Keith Pelly, he's running MLSC, not only the biggest sports company in Canada, but one of the biggest on the continent. And he doesn't really know the hockey people. Thank you for all the comments. I should got to turn my phone off. They're all so excited that we're back. We got about 6 minutes left. Who's texting me from a 404 number? God. The realest show on TV, as they say. Oh, my God, it's Richie Leone. You all know Richie Leone, right? He's probably going to be on here tomorrow. Former NFL, CFL kicker. Anyways, here's the thing. It would be nice to know that the guy that's running your organization knows the game and the people in the game. But clearly Keith Pelley does not. So he's going to start calling people to say, what can you tell me about this John Chayka guy? Nobody's going to stab him. Nobody's going to stab him. People are uncomfortable doing that. If you don't know and you can't find out on your own, that's a you problem. So then they turn out hiring John Chayka, and then everybody turns around and laughs and snickers, and they do what Steve Simmons did. You didn't do any homework, clearly, Keith. So that's the whole point for those that are saying Gavin McKenna's not going to save the Leafs. Austin Matthews has not been able to save the Leafs. And I'm sorry, Keith Pelley, but you're not my boss. So I'm just going to say, who the hell did you talk to? And that's why you should be scared if you're a Leafs fan. Because that's who's in charge. Rob writes in from Windthorst. It's only been, what's he say? It's only been 59 years since the Leafs made a Stanley Cup final. I think the suffering will continue for at least another 20 or 40 years. They will get into Cubs, Red Sox territory before they win, right? Tony in Concord, Alberta says the Flames did not tank and still got the number 6 pick. And Conroy's not disappointed. He reminded us that they got Matthew Tkachuk and Sean Monahan at number 6. Right. I'm impressed that you all were following it that closely. Florida Panthers, they didn't tank. They ended up 9th. They had a shot to win the lottery last night. I want to hear again from everybody, though. What's the first thing you thought when you saw Toronto won the draft lottery? Please tell me. I'm dying to know. Mine was the poor kid. And then I also said it's child abuse that they're going to make that kid play for Toronto. And I took to Twitter with that from my Cats and Bolts account. And people got a kick out of that. Well, and hey, thank you, Shane from Deer Valley. He writes in, he says, the crazy Canucks can't win a game or the lottery. The Leafs getting a pick is a joke. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way the wiener rolls. I don't believe for 1 second that it's rigged, and it's not rigged. So I'm not going to go down that road. But as I say, Jared Dumba, the Tulsa King, coming up next hour, he's going to get into, because he thinks there's a chance they won't take McKenna. I do not. And by the way, I guess because we're sitting here and we can, I'll tell a story or two about the Coyotes owners at the time, the guys that hired John Chayka, the guy that ended up getting suspended by the NHL for unsavory business practices. Yeah, we don't have time to get into that here, but we will after the break. Ken from Mississauga says, yes, in retrospect, I thought Steve's appearance on your show was a hint of where he was going. Bro, I get that you don't dig the hiring of these two guys, but to come out with a freaking 12-inch blade? That's not old school media. 40 years ago, people weren't doing that. But I admire it. We'll be right back. Let's keep the party rolling. Let's keep the party going when we come back. It's the RP Show. We will be on the air in Nevada in hour 2 when Jared Dumba joins us. Silver State Sports, Vegas home tonight in Game 2. We'll be right back.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The Hockey Report is brought to you by our friends at the Mad Greek. Are you craving the famous Greek ribs everybody's raving about? Get yours today at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. So, thank you for bearing with us as we've gone through system upgrades, programming changes at Game Plus. I can't get into too much of the details because it's their TV channel, but here's the whole thing. A lot of the people that are used to watching us on Game Plus every day are now finding us here on YouTube, and that was kind of the idea. Okay, that's all that I can say. So there will be a return to cable television in a few weeks' time is what I've been led to believe, but it doesn't change what I got to do here. So thank you for finding us over here. For instance, Chris from Vernon, BC writes in with my question, what's the first thing you thought when you saw Toronto won the draft lottery? Chris in Vernon, BC says, I felt anger when I found out. Best chance the Nucks have had for a first overall pick since the 80s. I don't think it's fixed, but it's suspicious. I can't argue with you there. That's the problem. It's like it's a result like last night makes it very hard to defend or explain other than to say luck if you believe in that kind of thing, or bad luck if you believe in that kind of thing. Right, Kevin the Medium? You're into this. You know what I'm saying. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba, who normally watches us on Game TV, has found us here. He says, first thought, not Toronto. Well, hang on. And come on, let's not get crazy. Wilf goes, Rod, I think the NHL draft needs to go old school. Forget the lottery. No. Just because we're upset with the results of it doesn't mean we can scrap it. Okay? Let's make that very clear. It was put in for a reason. Shoot, teams were accused of tanking this for the last several years anyway. Remember, fail for nail? How did that work out, by the way? Where are we? What are we doing? 902-518-3033 is the text line. Glenn in Medicine Hat. He says, the Leafs remind me of a person who wins the lottery then is broke a year later. Some are just destined to be poor. Isn't there a guy that won the lottery a couple of times and is broke? I feel like he was in Moose Jaw. Brian in Winnipeg writes in, he says, I think the Canucks deserve the first lottery pick more than the Leafs. Last place should get the first pick. Well, the one thing I will say about that is the NFL has never brought in a lottery, and that's one thing that I need to investigate. You footballers that are watching, like Carlos in Indiana and Utah, Darren, you tell me. See, Vancouver Eric, you just wrote in, Vancouver Eric says, I got a new appreciation for the NFL draft process. There has to be a reason why the NFL hasn't, and I don't know why that is. Somebody might want to punch that into Chat GPT, because I don't know what I don't think it would be very hard to find out. But when the Giants and Raiders met in Las Vegas late season, I think it was week 16 or 17, everybody was calling it the Tank Bowl. Everybody kind of knew. Maybe they just know in the NFL that there's tanking, and because you must, I would hope you understand this, because it's going on 6 years now that I've been here. And what I've realized is the NFL operates differently than the other leagues in that they're just at a higher level. And if that pisses off the NHL and NBA and certainly MLB people, I don't care. The NFL is just at this rarefied. They're not part of the major. They're in their own league on this continent, the NFL. They don't care if you criticize them. They don't care. They're bigger than the criticism. They're bigger than the negative media. They're bigger than anything. They're bigger than scandals. I don't think they care. Captain Lou Gamelin. Hey, Lou, good to see you, bro. He writes in, he says, the New York Knicks got the first fixed lottery win with Patrick Ewing. How many championships have they won? But that's the karma thing of it. I'm enough of an NBA fan just to be dangerous, because you all have heard that theory, right? That conspiracy theory. And I believe it. The commissioner at the time, David Stern, was standing in front of a clear glass case full of envelopes, and he reached behind him to grab an envelope, and he pulled it out and opened it, and voila, it said New York Knicks. And the rumor was that all those envelopes were frozen. One was frozen. So he fumbled around until he found the one that was cold and pulled it out. That's the rumor. The NHL would never do such a thing. Carlos in Indiana writes in and he says, I think an NFL draft lottery was floated about some time back to address tanking teams, but never really went anywhere. Oh, believe me, the NFL does take it very, very seriously, especially living here in Miami, right? The owner of the Dolphins was suspended for half a season for his role in a tanking scandal here. And look, I'm going to move on to some other things here, because now, God bless you, but people are writing in saying what they should do. They don't. Take that somewhere else, because they're not changing it. They don't feel the need to. It's like the play-in format that the NBA is doing with a lot of popularity. Gary's like, we're not doing it. And we're not changing the wild card format. We're not. No. So you guys can go ahead and write in if you want, but I'm not wasting my time on that. Just because the Leafs won the lottery, everybody wants the lottery changed. It's like Tom Brady playing in that flag football game in L.A. And remember that, like a month ago? And they got their brakes beat off them by the USA flag football team, all the NFLers. And Tom's like, well, they got to change the rules. No, Tom. Just because you lost, you don't get to change the rules. John Ohm says, NFL is the king of marketing. Mic drop. They really are. They really, really are. I just casually threw this out to Scruffy last week. Said I was driving down the I-95 between Fort Lauderdale and Boca Raton, and there was this big billboard, NFL countdown, 4 days. I'm like, 95% of the people driving down this corridor will know that the NFL draft is in 4 days, but the NFL still advertises. So does Coke, so does McDonald's. 902-518-3033. Where was I? Glad to have you back. Jared Dumba coming up in the next hour, by the way. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hey, Rod, if you don't believe the draft was rigged, I got some land in Florida to sell you. Well, I already got land in Florida. I don't need any. 2, you're a Leaf fan. You should just stop talking about it. You are a Leaf fan. So just, it's another thing I learned living here. Psst. Don't draw any attention to it. Oh, okay. I'm only on point 2 of the quick 6 show topics, by the way. Just so you know. And that's a big point because 1 was the draft lottery. 2, it was other NHL stuff. So that includes the Biz thoughts on Chayka, my thoughts on Chayka, Steve Simmons. Oh, listen, let me just put a bow on this because I said I was going to. It's my bad. And those owners of the Coyotes were great guys, and they brought me into their world. So I'm not going to sit here and denigrate them. But I'll just tell you something about some owners. They hired John Chayka because he was going to revolutionize the game. It didn't work. 2, they said, we're going to sign Sidney Crosby. And I'm like, yeah, how are you going to do that? Well, we're going to fly him out here and wine and dine him, show him how great Arizona is. I'm like, what if he doesn't want to leave Pittsburgh? No, well, he's going to want to leave Pittsburgh after he sees it. It doesn't work that way, guys. And they just didn't get it. They knew what their industry was. And in these cases, it was BlackBerry and oil and gas. They knew those industries better than anybody. But you don't just go, I want Sidney Crosby. I'm going to get him. It doesn't work that way. I'm going to be perfectly... And where are those guys now? I know where they are. They're not running pro teams. So that's what... When we talk about why some teams win and other teams never win, Bill Foley doesn't operate like that in Vegas. The guy here, Vinny Viola, didn't operate like that. And that's all I want to say, because those guys are really good guys. They just really had no... Own a team all you want. Fine. You shouldn't be running one. So much more to get to. Hang on. 902-518-3033. Glad to be back with you. And we'll be back after this brief pause here on the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for your patience over the past few weeks as we've gone through some upgrades. And like I say, teams and leagues, they have off seasons. We do not. And going every day for 2 hours is a big commitment. And Game Plus is going through some challenges and some changes, not challenges really. But we're part of their family. They're sharing all our stuff. We'll see how it all turns out because I don't even know. I'd love to tell you, but I don't know where it's going. One day at a time. Okay, I can take a hint. I get it. A lot of people want to move on, and I do too. But I went to ChatGPT. There's a lot of people get very upset at the mere mention of AI or ChatGPT. I found it very helpful. I'm just very wary of it. But I typed in, why doesn't the NFL have a draft lottery? And here's what I got, just so you know. Because the NFL doesn't really have the same tanking problem that leagues like the NBA and NHL do. Here's a few reasons why. One player changes less in football. I think you understand what that means. 2, the NFL has way more roster spots. 3, single elimination football discourages intentional losing. 4, the draft order already works reasonably well. 5, quarterback desperation already creates enough drama. Whether that's to be believed or not, that's what the internet says, and the internet's always right? It's something. Part of why they say that they don't have a lottery. So just to finish up on a couple of points, Ivan Demidov of the Montreal Canadiens is one of 3 NHL rookies named as the finalist for the Calder Trophy. And I know this is yesterday's news, but it's early enough today. Matthew Schaefer of the Islanders and Beckett Seneca of the Ducks were also named for the award. That's Rookie of the Year. And I see today, because I checked Twitter in the break, they've announced the Selke finalists, and the only name that stuck out to me was Anthony Cirelli of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Jim Rutherford says he's stepping down from his role as the Vancouver Canucks president of hockey operations. Rutherford said he will move into an advisor role following next month's NHL entry draft. The news comes after the team finished the season dead last and fired GM Patrick Allvin. Where the Canucks fans at? It's sort of like it's not going to matter. I mean, what the hell was I watching? Somebody was saying, "What's wrong with the Canucks?" And it's like that deep dive I have never lived in Vancouver. I've been there a ton broadcasting games as the visiting broadcaster, and I've had a lot of friends that have come through the Canucks organization. And what I hear isn't good, but I haven't seen it with my own eye. What I hear isn't good, but I haven't not seen it with my own eyes. So I don't really know what's going on with Vancouver, but it does start at the top. So I don't know. Rutherford couldn't make the change. Alvin clearly couldn't make the change. I've seen the good and the bad with owners. Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon, by the way, brings you our picks. I'm not telling you to use my picks for betting purposes, but I've been pretty damn good. I'm just kidding. Including correctly saying Colorado was going to win last night. Not a big deal. But 2 playoff games tonight, including one at KeyBank Center where the Buffalo Sabres entertain the Montreal Canadiens in the opening game of round 2. Elsewhere, the Vegas Golden Knights host the Anaheim Ducks, looking to take a 2-0 series lead there. Vegas won Monday's opener 3-1, which is interesting. I mean, you're watching this show, so if you have some sort of casual interest in my life, during NFL season, I get up and I listen every morning when I go to the gym and run and listen to NFL radio. Well, Mike Florio, actually, NBC Sports Radio. But there's like literally nothing going on in the NFL right now. They're making things up. And that's why this show, just so you know, was designed the way that it is. Kevin the Medium and I joke about it all the time because I just started saying this. If you don't like what we're talking about, wait 2 minutes. We'll talk about something else. So now we're in the Stanley Cup playoffs, so I listen to the NHL radio, and those are my good friends. Scott Laughlin, worked with him at The Score 20-plus years ago, and Gordy Stellick, who's becoming a friend, and I just think he's so funny. I love Gordy Stellick on there. And they were talking about Game 1 between the Ducks and the Golden Knights, and they were saying, I don't like the terminology that's used in hockey now. I don't like it at all. It's nobody's fault. Scott was like, Game 1 was kind of a low-event game. When I left hockey after 2010 and then came back into hockey in 2020, all the wording had changed. Somebody should, print out a thesaurus or dictionary on what low-event game is, and puck management, and bumper zone, and what shot volume. And I was talking to Randy Moeller a couple of months ago, the Panthers TV analyst, and I said, Moles, one of the things I really like about you is you don't get into the hockey jargon. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, like shot volume and puck management, and maybe. And he goes, I don't even know what that is. Right? These things have been around forever. They've just given them names. It kind of reminds me of my mental health certification. OCD, anxiety, generalized anxiety. They've been around for a long time. Now they have names. Brian in Winnipeg writes in, he says, the Leafs did not need to tank to get the first lottery pick. They just play like they have for many years. I'll tell you this, Bill, and I don't want to pee on your parade, man. I really don't. But Bill from Whitby, Ontario, wrote in here earlier, said he's very pleased they got the number 1 overall pick, and that's great, but I don't want to ruin it for you. I guess I'll let Ryan Whitney of Spit and Chicklets say it, because I went and read this article on Biz when I was looking at what Biz said, and he said he's checked out on the Leafs because they hired John Chayka, and he knows him from Arizona. That should tell you something. And then Ryan Whitney says, this is not a serious organization. What he means by that is they're not serious about winning. And who the hell? Yesterday, I gotta post those clips. I haven't yet, but Dennis Bernstein. You guys, you really got to pay attention to what I'm saying here. And I know that's why you're here, because you love the show. But Carter Hart, to me, from what I saw of round 1, was the reason the Golden Knights got out of round 1, because he made the key saves at the right time. I'm talking about that with Dennis Bernstein. The Oilers wouldn't even look at him. And we all know why. And Bill Foley, the owner of the Golden Knights, cleared that. It went up to Bill. We talked about it yesterday. And he literally said, this is what the story I got from my Golden Knights people. Bill goes, will it make us win? Will it help us win? Yes, do it. Why doesn't Edmonton do that? Oh, there's going to be a backlash. So what? That's all. Tony from Cochrane writes in, he says, who's Rod rooting for now that no Florida teams are left? Viva Las Vegas. Canada, Mississauga. Okay. You don't bring too much logic into this. Canada, Mississauga, Ontario says, for some reason, this lottery conspiracy talk reminds me of the no state tax theory. Well, don't get me going on a topic I didn't plan for. I have to think about this a little more. The no state tax thing, because there's the handbook that Gary Bettman wants everybody to operate out of. And they don't want that to believe that that's an unfair advantage for teams. They don't want you to believe that, but it is. When Brad Marchand sits there last summer and explains why he re-signed with Florida and saying, well, let's be honest, there's no income tax here. Like, I will say 30 years ago, the salaries weren't what they are now. It wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a disparity to what it is now. But I'm like, why was Marchand not disciplined for this? And you know what? Moose always told me, who I just talked to Moose this morning, Darren's like, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe Marchand got a call from Bettman and said, hey, listen, STFU. Psst. That is the one thing, man. That's why I'm sitting here today. I was sitting with a business lady from West Palm the other day. She's West Palm Beach. She's like, tell me about your show. And I'm like, well, we were like the first really doing it, what we were doing prior to COVID. Bringing guys on. Our guests were joining us from their car or their home office. Remember when we started this? Point being, there's the handbook, and then there's those that don't need to play by the same handbook. Like Ryan Whitney of Spit and Chicklets saying that the Leafs aren't a serious franchise. There's nobody in Toronto that will say that. You can't say that there. And the only reason Steve Simmons did what he did is Steve's putting out on his career. Steve's not worried about what the Leafs think. He doesn't give a shit. He's never really given a shit, but he definitely doesn't give a shit now. Nobody else going to do that, what Steve said the other day. So my point is, and then Biz with his swearing, I mean, that's just his brand. I guess if Biz stopped dropping F-bombs on Twitter and on Spit and Chicklets, that wouldn't be him, I guess. I don't understand, because nobody else can do these things that some people do. But it doesn't bother me. It's just a question. Utah Darren writes in, he says, the owners need cojones if they want to win. Ryan Smith of the Mammoth has this quality. They all got balls. That's how they got where they are. They need a little more brains. And they need less ego. They need to, frankly, do what Vincent Viola did here in Florida and call in his top people. I've talked about this before. And say, I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of being laughed at. I'm tired of having an empty rink. What do I need to do? And those key staff for the Panthers, because I know them. I'm not going to name them, but they said, glad you asked. You need to do this, 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 this. And he did all those things, and they won. Who's got the cojones to do that? Who's got the cojones to say, what I'm doing isn't working? So you're not wrong. I would rephrase it a little bit. Rob in Windthorst writes in and says, wouldn't it be something if McKenna tells the Leafs he won't play for them? Could stay in the NCAA and continue to collect good money until they moved him. A modern-day Lindros. He doesn't seem like the type. Stick with us, everybody. We'll get into this next hour, and we'll bring this all up with Jared Dumba after this brief timeout on the RP Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, A big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. New and improved, I can say that for sure. Welcoming viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports. Very big night in the Fortress, which we're going to talk about here right away. Game 2 between the Golden Knights and the Ducks. The Montreal Buffalo series is opening up. We've got a lot to get to. It is hour 2 of the RP Show. We've been streaming, and for the benefit of those that weren't joining us right off the top of the show, we've been going through some upgrades, whatever you want to say, over the last little bit, and it's all good, and we appreciate you sticking with us. We appreciate your patience, and it's been a whole hell of a lot of fun. The only problem here, for all those that have been rocking it through the last hour, where I sat here on my own and just went back and forth with the viewers, not in a boxing way, but just talking sports with them, and it's fun. We got to reset everything of what we're talking about, so because we have the new viewers here in hour 2. Coming up in the next segment, Jared Dumba will be with us from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. He is our NHL analyst, or one of them, and we'll be talking about all of these things. And so last hour, we kind of put to bed what's gone on in the National Hockey League. I guess we'll open with that. Point 1 of the Quick Six Show topics in the warm-up, brought to you by our friend Neil Chark and the crew at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Okay, last night, it was Colorado upending Minnesota. Nobody's talking about what's going on the ice, and that kind of bothers me a little bit, but it is what it is. Colorado 5, Minnesota 2. They're going up to Mini with the Avalanche in control of the series 2-0. It was the only game last night. And so that's the poll question. Let's get that out of the way right now. Brought to you by Country Thunder Saskatchewan, rocking the Craven Valley, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Who's in more trouble right now in round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, down 0-2? The Minnesota Wild or the Philadelphia Flyers, who are down 0-2 to Carolina? And they're not playing tonight, shocking. I guess they're traveling. The correct answer is both. But leading the poll is Philadelphia. It's like 65% of respondents saying Philly's in more trouble. But they're both going down. And I'm starting to think Carolina and Colorado are going to meet in the Stanley Cup final. Although, if you were watching yesterday, Dennis Bernstein was with us from NHL Radio. And, well, he thinks Colorado's going to walk Vegas. I don't. So those other things from off the ice, we should get to those. Point 2, Toronto Maple Leafs have the first pick at next month's NHL entry draft in Buffalo after winning Tuesday's draft lottery and the right to take Gavin McKenna. We're going to be getting way more into that in the next segment with Jared Dumba. He's not totally sold on the fact that they're going to take Gavin McKenna, but I think that they will. It's the third number 1 overall pick for the Leafs. I just saw this on Twitter. Like, on one hand, I try to get away from Twitter because it's such a negative toilet. On the other hand, it's some cases so funny. It's where I'm getting all of my humor from these days. Really is social media. Some guy put the Leafs have won more draft lotteries in the last 20 years than they have playoff rounds. How about that? And then, furthermore, the Rookie of the Year finalists were named Ivan Demidov of Montreal, Matthew Schaefer of the Islanders, and Beckett Seneca of the Ducks. Jim Rutherford says he's stepping down from his role as the Vancouver Canucks president of hockey operations. He'll be doing that after the draft. They were the worst team in the NHL this year. And speaking of Montreal, ole, ole, ole. Listen, I'm not going to say this again because a lot of you weren't watching last hour. I talked to one friend last night, Kevin the Medium, big Canucks fan, literally in tears, crying that the Canucks didn't win the draft lottery. I like it. As they were crapping the bed all year long, and he was talking about them taking Gavin McKenna. I'm saying you're getting your hopes way, way, way too up. But you know what? Sometimes that's a good thing. In this case, it wasn't. Because then you end up crashing and crying like Kevin the Medium did last night. It is what it is. But the other thing was, the one guy I talked to last night, and the other was my good friend Bob Marier. And he said, go ahead, say my name. I'm sitting there watching the hockey game last night, and my phone, FaceTime goes off, and I'm like, nobody FaceTimes me. Who is this? Oh, it's Bob Marier. Sober coach to the stars. It's what I do, but he has a little different clientele than mine. Stars are his. And anyway, so I said, hey, I figured something was going on with you. I hadn't heard from you with Montreal playing Tampa Bay in the playoffs. And he's like, I'm going in for emergency cancer surgery tomorrow. Oh. And we talked for an hour. And about all, he might be watching right now. To get to the end of the story first, he was about to go in for the surgery today, and then they postponed it till May 21st. So he's going to be fine. For their own. I'm not going to give all his health details, but he didn't have it today. But anyways, serious stuff there. So when it comes to a draft lottery, I mean, I get it. Or what's flying around with the Leafs. I mean, the biggest talk in the NHL right now, and it's always going to be the Leafs. What did we say here yesterday? The Leafs are the Yankees and the Cowboys of hockey, minus the championships. But they're just that team. They're the it girl, the Leafs. So they hired the GM that nobody in the NHL likes, John Chayka, and apparently the president of Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. I don't know. Who'd you call? Chayka's mom? I don't know too many people that would give John Chayka a good reference. But they hired him anyways, and now everybody's jumping on the guy. And the Leafs have another major crisis on their hands. And then they turn around and draft or win the draft lottery, which they're going to turn into Gavin McKenna, I'm sure. But to the hockey fans' credit, because they're pretty smart people, nobody's saying Gavin McKenna is going to save the Leafs, be the savior, because they know they got bigger problems than that. Interestingly, since we're airing on Silver State Sports right now, I've seen a lot of people thinking Fernando Mendoza is going to be the savior of the Raiders. And maybe they're not talking about 2026 because he's not going to be starting this year. Maybe they mean over the next 10 years, and if that's the case, pack a lunch. Oh, by the way, yeah, so thank you. So had to get everybody caught up here. Ken in Mississauga, Ontario is watching. Referring to Steve Simmons. Steve Simmons was on this show last week. Close friend of mine, Hall of Fame writer. He was the one that came at Keith Pelly. Like when I say that, like with a 12-inch blade. And nobody had ever seen the likes of this. It's not like, oh, we're in a kinder, softer, gentler time in the media, so what Steve said really stands out. No, nobody has ever done what Steve Simmons did at the Leafs news conference on Monday by saying, hey, Keith Pelly, team president. I talked to 20 hockey people who you would know their names, and they all said this guy's a sham and a con artist. What do you have to say about that? Like, it's that little, he's in the room. So, Ken in Mississauga writes in and he says, would Steve's comments make it difficult for the Toronto Sun's reporter who covers the Leafs? No. Not at all. I don't even know who that is. It wouldn't make it. Thank you for the question, but I don't think Steve Simmons is going to be welcomed in the press box at Scotiabank Arena anytime soon, but anybody else that works for the paper would be fine. Oh, here we go. Matthew DeBuck writing in, go, Habs, go. He might as well have said, ole, 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 ole. So I'm trying to go down that road there. I don't have any problem with the Montreal Canadiens. They were actually the first team I ever loved, but my dad wouldn't allow me to cheer for them. It's a Western Canadian thing. So I picked the Oilers. But I have nothing against the Habs fans. Bob Merrier is the biggest Montreal Canadiens fan I know. Way bigger than you, Matt DeBuck. He knew every prospect coming up. This guy that I talked to on the phone last night that was scheduled for cancer surgery, major life-saving cancer surgery today. They just love their team. They don't trash the other teams. They don't trash their own team. I got a lot of respect for Habs fans, and that's why I said if they beat Tampa Bay, I'll be just as happy for Montreal. I am. But I'm not cheering for them. I'm cheering for the Vegas Golden Knights. And we said that going into the playoffs. Coach DeBuck says, who do you like in this series? Oh, boy. Well, again, thank you for getting me on point, as I tend to drift a little bit. I was talking to Mary about it last night, about this Jakub Dobeš. I said, didn't he look like Roy to you? Especially in Game 7? Patrick Roy, and he goes, he reminded me of Dryden. Either or. He looked like both. What's with Montreal and rookie goalies, which incidentally, they both came in and won the Stanley Cup. Because Montreal got through to round 2, I will not say that they are not worthy of winning the Stanley Cup. Because we're down to the final 8 teams. We're in the Elite 8. Anybody that's got this far is that good. So you ask, who do I like? Montreal's got more playoff experience. They don't have a lot, but they got more than Buffalo. Okay? At some point, Buffalo's going to run into the we're just happy to be here thing. And that might happen this round. I'm not sure. And they're starting Alex Lyons tonight in Game 1. He's a backup. I'm sorry, he's a backup. Anthony Stolarz, the goalie for the Leafs, he's a backup. You know, like, whatever. I mean, watch the Lions come out and stop 47 shots for a shutout. I don't think that's going to happen. Jakub Dobeš seems to have, you get it, Matt, this certain je ne sais quoi. I don't know what. That's the translation of that. And goaltending can steal you a series. It didn't steal them round 1, but it won them round 1. I'll take Montreal. But I'll be honest. So they have the right to get steamrolled by Carolina in the next round. Because that's what's going to happen. Robin Winthor says Habs in 6. Ole, ole, ole. Yeah, you got to respect it. You got to respect it. I mean, I also respect how much Leafs and Habs fans hate each other. I get that. Kirk in Toronto says it wasn't a blade, but a sledgehammer. Whatever you want to call it. That was a sledgehammer right in Keith Pelly's face. A knife right to John Jacobs' chest. Why am I laughing? Honestly, Scruffy sent me the video. It was the first I was aware of it. And I was like, this has got to be AI. Remember those videos, Matt DeBuck, that we were watching in the press box at the football stadium? Remember those AI ones? This was real. Hey, by the way, Thank you, Carlos in Indianapolis, for pointing out that we're on track. 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain for the live audience. It really, oh man. Envision the positive ending, and don't just envision it. What I'm doing now, live there, live in that spot. Let everybody catch up. It actually works. Yeah, Kevin the Medium. Hey, you're there, Kev. Have you stopped crying yet? Canucks fan? Okay. I like my picks. I am bragging. I'm probably at like 88%, I would say, on NHL picks. Tonight, who's going to win? Is in Centre. It's not in Montreal, is it? Buffalo won the division. The venue tonight, yeah, it's in Buffalo. Why did I write it down the other way? It's not going to matter. I know Buffalo's going to be bonkers as a town, is going to penetrate the building, but I think Montreal's on a roll. They've had sufficient rest after Game 7 victory. I got Montreal to win tonight. Anaheim at Vegas. Vegas will win tonight, and then they'll go to Anaheim, and Anaheim will win. This is going to end up being probably a 6-game series, Anaheim-Vegas. That's my thought. Coach DeBuck says Tampa played like the Charlestown Chiefs. Well, that was by design. They tried to run Montreal out of the rink, and Montreal wasn't standing for it. So you can take a bow for that. But we're on Vegas television here right now. If you want to talk more about that, because trust me, we're going to get into this. It's ugly what's going on in Tampa right now. And it happens when you lose. Everybody's throwing arrows at each other and the knives are out. Depending how big a deal you want to make it. Like John Cooper said, the hockey gods weren't with us in Game 7, which they weren't. So then the goalie, Andrei Vasilevsky, was asked, your coach says the hockey gods weren't with you. And he's like, we say that every year. It's not that big of a deal, but they're trying to make it into a really big deal in Tampa Bay. But they're not wrong. And Tampa is battling a bit of an identity crisis right now. What are we? Are we going to be a rough and tumble goon squad, or what are we going to be? Because what they're doing hasn't worked. I think it's 4 straight first-round exits. 902-518-3033. I think we've sufficiently covered the Stanley Cup playoffs and all the NHL news since this is the Blue Jays show. Well, that's our team. It's not the Jays show. But the Tampa Bay Rays scored 2 runs in the 8th inning to erase a 3-2 deficit and went on to defeat the visiting Toronto Blue Jays 4-3 Tuesday night. Jays are 9 off the division lead. I saw that. NBA, we're going to have to get to more of this later. 0.5. Cade Cunningham, which, by the way, sounds like a junior hockey name to me. Cade Cunningham, not an NBA player. He scored 23 points as the Detroit Pistons beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 111-101 in Game 1 of their second-round series. Chet Holmgren had 24 points, and Oklahoma City routed the Lakers 108-90 in Game 1 of that Western Conference semifinal series. SGA added 18 points for the Thunder. By the way, coming up next, Jared Dumba will be with us, the Tulsa King. It's brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca or call 306-985-0050. You can go look up Jared Dumba's Hockey DB right now if you want to call him the Tulsa King, because he played for the Tulsa Oilers, among many other pro hockey teams. And if you want to get into this NHL draft and the lottery and the Stanley Cup playoffs, Jared's your guy. We'll be right back with him in a moment. You are watching The RP Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back to the new and improved RP show, but just as entertaining and just as much fun. And that includes our next guest, the Tulsa King, Jared Dumba, joining us. And we're having fun today with a variety of topics. Jared, I don't know if you've been watching, but I asked the audience, and I'll ask you, what's the first thing you thought when you saw the Toronto Maple Leafs win the draft lottery Tuesday night?
Holy bleep. I can't say the second part, but that's the first thing I thought. I never thought the hockey god, you know what? I'm big into the hockey gods as well. Everybody talks about them. I never thought the hockey gods were giving that one to the Leafs, but hey, every now and then you get thrown a bone, and now it's going to be real interesting to see what happens here. Much like the unpredictable season, I think the draft's going to be much of the same. And you're seeing all sorts of ideas bantied about. It sounds like 5 different guys could go first. You're talking about some guy Biz talking about the Leafs trading the pick away for some now. It's going to be real exciting to see what happens.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you do listen to NHL radio, right? Gordy Stellick said this morning, he's like, Toronto? We didn't even think about Toronto winning this thing. It wasn't even on anybody's radar, but they did. Explain why they might not take Gavin McKenna.
Well, if you look, here's some reasons why they couldn't. If they're looking for, if somebody's willing to give up a really big piece or a couple good pieces, maybe a stud D man and a good second line forward or something that are pretty big names, you could see a trade. I doubt that happens, but you never know. Now, if you look at what they've got, if they're looking at, hey, we've already got the stud centerman, maybe we need a left winger. I mean, I would say McKenna could play there too, but some guys might like Stenberg a little bit better. Now you got Matt Sundin coming into the fold, a little Swedish connection there. Maybe they could go that way. A third option could be, look at their D. That's one thing that people are saying they need better D, need better D. There's a few good D men right there. Carson Carell's, Chase Reed, who rocketed up the draft draft boards. And there's another guy, this Albert Smeets. They got him rated anywhere from 10 to 20 in different mock drafts. I think he might be the guy that kind of sneaks higher into the draft. But I don't know. They could also trade down if they're looking for a D. So that's what I'm saying. There's so many options in the air. It's going to be interesting to see what this new tandem in Leafs land decides to do. They could also just go with whoever has the best advanced stats, knowing that it's Chayka there now. Maybe there's a guy in the third round who has better advanced stats, and he goes first overall.
And apparently the top
Kidding,
president,
of course.
Keith Pelly. Yeah, well, are you? And apparently the top cheese, Keith Pelly, likes to use AI as well. So you're joking, but you're not joking. But like the rest of the world, I'm sick of the Leafs. So let's talk about who's actually playing right now. And since we're on the air in Vegas on Silver State Sports, your take on the Golden Knights as they roll into Game 2 tonight, up 1-0 on Anaheim.
Well, Vegas is it's kind of the same old. They're built for the playoffs. That's how McCrimmon builds his team. I don't think he's using advanced stats and AI and all that junk. I think he's bringing in the right guys for the right time. He's got a lot of Western boys in there. He's got guys that have been there before. And when you watch them, some games it almost looks like they're going to get beat, but then they just find a way to grind it out and do the little things, and they kind of put guys in boxes, and they find a way to win. They grind out the games, and that's all due to the players that they've got on their squad. Those guys are used to doing that. They've done it their whole career, and I think we're just witnessing that again in the playoffs. Like I said, I think they've been outplayed a few games where they've still won, and when you can do that in the playoffs, that bodes well for your chances. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be real tough for this young Anaheim squad up against the Golden Knights.
I got the Golden Knights winning this one tonight and winning the series probably in 6 in my mind. And trust me, everybody's dying. If Montreal-Tampa was the sexiest first-round series, which we all agree that it was, even going into the playoffs, Montreal-Buffalo is the sexiest second-round series. But before we get to that, our poll question today is who's in more trouble down 0-2, Philadelphia or Minnesota? While you think about that, I'll say both because they're both toast. I just don't know in my mind, unless you see somebody coming back out of those two.
No, that was the first thing that popped in my head. I'm kind of giggling inside that you said that. Both. I don't think either one has a shot. I think the Avs, when you watch them right now, it just looks like they're going to have fun the whole way through the playoffs, and they're just going to steamroll absolutely anybody. I think the only team that might have a shot against them would be Carolina if they can really frustrate them and play a real stuffy game against them. I shouldn't say that because the Golden Knights, with their experience, they would also have an opportunity. But when you watch when you watch the Avs, Colorado's, they just look way too good right now. I don't think Minnesota has a sniff to come back in that series. Hope I'm wrong, and I hope we get to see a nice long 7-game series. They don't really have a shot. Neither would I say Philadelphia does. Philadelphia's already played way above their heads. Tockett's done an unbelievable job. The young guys are doing great. They're a team for the future. I don't think either one of those guys has a shot to come back in the series.
I'm just going to read a viewer comment here. One is from Colton San Diego. He says, the Knights got lucky. That was icing. It's in the past. Move on. Tony from Cochrane says, is that Poppy on the Matthews jersey a sign that he's toast in Toronto? That's a stretch there. But you clearly positioned that Poppy so everybody could see it. Is there a story behind it or ode to Don Cherry, or what's the reason behind that?
Yeah, you know what? I don't just give thanks one day a year or for 1 week a year. That stays up there all year long. You gotta. I don't just remember one day. Try and remember all year long of why we're here and how we got here.
Okay, perfect. He's one of the viewers that's very interested in the Montreal Buffalo series. I guess, we do our series previews, and in a lot of the first round series, you could toss them out the window, i.e., who's going to win the goaltending battle? I did not have Dobish beating Vasilevsky in a goaltending battle, but he did. Or frankly, Martin St. Louis out-coaching John Cooper. That was put to me last night by somebody, and I'm like, I can't say that he didn't. I can't say he didn't. It's... Yeah. So in that Montreal Buffalo series, in the key categories, what have you identified?
Man, it's amazing to know that he came from coaching kids minor hockey into the NHL, and everybody was saying, well, he's not going to be able to do it. You can't just step into a pro locker room, forgetting that he had been in a pro locker room in Tampa and other places for so long. But he's doing such a great job there. I think he did out coach Coop, which is very, very hard.
Yeah.
There's not many guys that have done that, but Montreal just they look so well coached. When they have a loss, they come back the next game better than they were. They obviously, the right things in the room are being said by St. Louis, and I think he's going to have a real good long coaching career. He'll end up being one of the all-time winningest coaches before it's said and done if he wants to keep doing it.
Now they want him in Tampa Bay, which is a topic for the Cats and Bolts podcast. But I'm like, for those, I didn't. Oh, it looks like Jared just got a phone call. So there he is. I didn't want to say that he outcoached. No, that's good. But I didn't want to admit that he outcoached John Cooper. But I am a St. Louis fan, and to me, let me just spend a minute on that. And by the way, Tony from Cochrane says, "Bravo, lest we forget every day." But he took strategic timeouts at the right time. He was winning the line matchups for sure. He brought Brendan Gallagher back out of the press box at the appropriate time. There was a lot of moves that St. Louis made. That what are some of the other ones that you saw that he did to outcoach Cooper?
You know what? I think that mainly for me, it's the line changes. You watch how the guys are played when they're on the road, when they're at home, and those are the little things you watch when you used to play the game. How long are guys on the ice? If Coop gets the guys that he hit the line that he wants out against, Montreal's top line. You see Montreal's top line changing right away, and then another line come out for a short shift, and then maybe they go back. It's just kind of the way that he plays his lines that it shows that he's into the game. He's not just a coach that's just sitting back there and saying, "Okay, you're up. Now you guys are up. Now you guys are up." He's switching things on the fly, and then you can see little adjustments in their game as well. When Tampa starts to, Tampa. It doesn't take long. Tampa starts, taking the play over for 3, 4, 5 shifts, and all of a sudden you'll see Montreal just changing little things, whether it's how they're passing the puck out of the zone. Guys maybe coming flying out a little bit higher out of the zone to pull the D back. Just all those little in-game adjustments that you have to play for a good coach at some point to even be able to pick those up. And I was lucky enough to have some coaches that were able to do that on the fly, and I've also played for coaches that couldn't do that. So it's really interesting to watch, and it's tough to see all the time on TV, but you pick it up a lot when it's St. Louis doing it.
There's so much fun things going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now to talk about, but there are a lot of teams not playing right now, like Jeff the Stamps fan in Calgary writes, and he says, how about the Flames 2 first-rounders for Toronto's number 1? There's no way the Leafs trade this pick, do they? When's the last time a number 1 overall pick was been traded?
No, they'd have to have somebody'd have to offer a number 1 D-man that's in the prime of his career, and probably, plus. Probably another, maybe their first rounder, or maybe a second or third liner as well. Somebody's really, really got to want McKenna bad to do that. And it would have to be a lower place team that doesn't have a shot this year. But I don't see that happening, because you look around the league and everybody thinks they've got a shot. Who's going to do that? Who's going to give up? Who's going to give that up right now. That's a little much to give up for somebody who's unproven. But I don't see that happening at all, Roddy.
If we have time, in which we have plenty of time, I do want to come back to the Steve Simmons thing. I'm sure you have thoughts. Like I say, he was just on our show last week, but we are on the air in Vegas right now. That's our number one TV network. All the Golden Knights fans are watching, and I want your take on what John Tortorella's done for this team, because I was on a podcast the other day with Stan Fischler, probably like the dean of all NHL hockey writers, as far as I'm concerned. Stan Fischler has written 98 books. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he goes, Tortorella is so nice, even the jackasses like John Tortorella. And I'm like, I've never met him, so I can't say, but everybody that I know that knows him does love him. I think it's the media doesn't like him because he's called so many guys out, and you don't want to get on the media's bad side. You just don't, But he's doing something right in Vegas.
Well, I think everybody's always judged them, based on what they see in interviews and, always hot-headed and this and that. What I've always seen is he goes to bat for his players. I know guys that have played for him or know people that played for him, and all I've ever heard is everybody absolutely loves Torts in that room. He's just a fantastic guy, great to everybody. And now it's kind of interesting watching. You knew that he was going to give him a little spark, and you didn't know if there was enough time with, 8 games left. You didn't know if there would be enough time for him to do much. But obviously, he's come in and done just a fantastic job there. It was the right call at the right time by McCrimmon. Surprise, surprise there. But now the one thing I know that's a little bit different than any other time I've seen him in the past is he's sometimes the camera will pan to him and he's got a smile on his face on the bench. He looks relaxed. He looks eerily relaxed. Are they slipping something in his coffee before the game to make him relaxed, or what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on here? He seems like he's just having a heck of a time. Probably because he walked into the situation he's in.
Probably because he's coaching Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel and Shea Theodore and Mark Stone, and I'd be pretty happy too. The interesting thing about that is he's been hired 6 times. He's been fired 5. Like, I'm wondering what the hockey people are saying up there where you are in Canada about that. Like, I think we all I've realized this for the past few years, as a hockey coach especially, if you get fired, it's not personal. It's not personal, not anymore, because they're like literally discardable.
Yeah, you get hired to be fired as a hockey coach. I mean, unless your last name's Cooper. Other than that, every other coach in the history of the game gets hired to be fired. It's coming at some point. And if you're a guy like Torts, you just stick with it, and somebody else is going to pick you up. He obviously loves the game, loves coaching. The guys love him, so he'll keep doing it. Probably, I would imagine he'll coach more places than Vegas when it's said and done too.
Oh, yeah. But it's early on they're still on the honeymoon. He's smiling. They're newlyweds. Yeah. Let's see at the end if he's still smiling. That's kind of how it goes. By the way, so on the Steve Simmons thing, I was watching the video. Your boy Scruffy sent me the video. That's how I saw where I first saw the Steve Simmons, Keith Pelly, John Chayka video. And I'm like, I've seen so many AI videos lately that are fake, whether it's Trump, Mike Vrabel. I'm like, this can't be real. Oh, it was real. What did you think when you saw it?
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. Now, I've seen people saying that he's doing it for clicks and doing it to get his name. He already had a big name before. I don't think he's doing it for that. I think to me, I don't know at all. I don't know him personally. I just think that something personal is there. He's probably talked to some guys that are getting him riled up, and he just went after him. Now, personally, I mean, as an innocent bystander, I just loved watching it. Anytime stuff like that happens, it gets the rest of us talking, is always fun. Honestly, if that was me, I probably would have went about it a different way. I think there's a little bit classier way you can go about that, is where you're not, calling him a liar and everything else in front of his kids, in front of his family there. But you know what? Kudos to him. He had the guts to do so, and now he's got the rest of the hockey world talking.
Well, the business of the wife and the kids being there, I can't remember where I first heard that criticism. I'm like, he's the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, okay? Anything that Steve Simmons said is freaking batting practice compared to what those kids are going to hear at school, on the playground, or on social media, right? Like, that's literally, like, this is not the Boy Scouts. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but what do you think you just signed up for? And I didn't even hear that John Chayka even had an issue with what Steven Simmons said. But I just, like I say, it's hilarious that Simmons was just on this show last week, and then this comes. So if anybody didn't know who he was, our viewers certainly do. Last word from you, about 90 seconds. What's your favorite round 2 series?
Obviously, Buffalo, Montreal. You want to see the young guys go at it. Buffalo hasn't been in the playoffs for 14 years. They look like they're firing on all cylinders. They have been since December. Montreal looks like they're also firing on all cylinders. You don't know what's going to happen in this one. I can't wait for this game tonight. Goaltending will. Dobish can keep up what he's been doing. We'll see if Lyon can keep up what he's been doing. You don't know because none of these guys have been in the playoffs long enough. But they're both firing on all cylinders. It's going to be a fast, tough, hard hockey game, and I think we're going 7 in this one. I can't wait to watch this series. And then I also want to see if the Avs put up about 20 more goals in the next 2 games. That's kind of exciting. But definitely Buffalo, Montreal as the number one round 2 series here.
Yeah, well, it always goes fast with you. Next time, I'll make a list. We never seem to get to everything. Like the other night, some guy says to me, why is Stevie Y still got a job in Detroit? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not the Illich. I'm not the Little Caesars family. But that's just one thing. You know, everybody's talking about it, and that's about various things. You know what I mean? So there's 8 teams still alive. But there are, my math's bad, but 24 that are not, and there's stuff going on with them. So let's do it again soon, Jared. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the hockey.
Yeah, we can make a list instead of rapid fire. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, whatever comes up. Yeah. Jared Dumba with us, the Tulsa King, our hockey analyst. We'll be right back with Viewer Takeover Sports Update after this on the RP Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
As I warned you, it was going to be viewer takeover, and that's what we have. And I want to say a special shout out to Laura. She's watching in Edmonton. She's the beautiful lady that sent me this bell. Was it last summer or 2 summers ago? Laura, I can't remember. But she says, "Hey, Rod, thank you for explaining the Game Plus situation. I found you." Thank you. Our viewers are so unbelievably special, and she's one. And I just said earlier, our Canadian television partner, Game Plus TV, which also airs us in 33 states, going through some programming changes. For the month of May, we're not on Game Plus, but we're coming back. I don't know when. If you know me, you know. I'm like, just tell me where to be and when. We're good. Rock on. Sports update, as I say. There are 2 playoff games in the NHL tonight, as if we haven't been talking about it for 2 hours. One at KeyBank Center, where the Buffalo Sabres entertain the Montreal Canadiens. Elsewhere, the Vegas Golden Knights host the Anaheim Ducks, up 1-0 in that series. I think they'll be going to 2-0 after this series. The Toronto Blue Jays will be looking to snap a 3-game slide when they face the Tampa Bay Rays. By the time most of you see this, the game will be over. Lefty Patrick Corbin on the mound for the 16-20 Jays. The New York Knickerbockers will be looking to grab a 2-0 lead in their best-of-7 NBA Eastern Conference semifinal series tonight when they host the Philadelphia 76ers. I'll say this. If I can find a way, and I will, there will be a show called Sauna Stories. Just trying to find the legalities around putting a camera in the sauna at the gym where I go, because these guys have the best conversations, and I'm not usually part of it. But I don't have a choice. I got to be into the NBA because all the guys around here where I live, South Florida, they're into it. The Heat are long gone, but there's a lot of New Yorkers, and the Knicks are good. So do the math. And the San Antonio Spurs will be aiming to even their Western Conference semifinal series at 1-1 when they entertain the Minnesota T-Wolves. Here's one that I actually have been wanting to discuss all day and just get one very small thing off my chest. The NFL and its officials are moving closer towards a new agreement that avoids a work stoppage. A person with knowledge of the association told the Associated Press that after a lengthy stalemate, negotiations have reached a point where the NFL Referees Association is planning to have a ratification vote this week. The NFL's collective bargaining agreement with the referees is set to expire on May 31st. Here's my thing on this. Why do we need to know this? I mean, I get it. I sort of get it. And they have been talking about it on the various channels that I listen and watch because there's nothing else going on in the NFL right now. So there's been a little bit of coverage like this. But I can't stand when the unions and the companies talk. In whatever league, players, refs, you honestly don't see that really with the steel workers. You know, why do we care? Figure it out. Also, let's have a little fun with this, okay? I need a new sound effect. I mean, I got enough of really great ones, and especially thank you, Laura. And also John's music and Moose Jaw for this. But every time something's the latest and the greatest, take a sip of coffee. Or a drink if that's your thing. For instance, this. The 76ers series clinching victory over the Celtics averaged 11 million viewers, making it the most watched first-round Game 7 in NBA history. Games across the entire first round averaged 4 million viewers, making it the most watched opening round in 33 years. Okay. Guess there's a whole lot of people staying inside because the NHL's got the biggest ratings. I'll be honest with the NHL, biggest in 14 years. But I feel like we're going to hear by the time this is done, depending on who the Stanley Cup final matchup is, biggest ever. Are you with me? Kentucky Derby, most viewers ever. NFL Round 1, most viewers ever. I'd like to hear some of these other leagues trumpet the same thing. John Ohm says, let's go, Montreal. Canada's team. Last chance. Stanley do Cup. It's Coupe de Stanley, but I tell you what, I'm quite enjoying as long as the Habs are in the playoffs, I get to show off my Francais skills. I'm not as good as producer Corey, but I'm not bad. I've been doing a heck of a lot more of it on the Cats and Bolts podcast that I have here, but I love speaking French. Glenn in Medicine Hat, he says, during the Montreal Buffalo series, will Sportsnet use vintage footage at some point of Ken and Dave Dryden shaking hands at center ice after a Habs Sabres game? I don't know, Glenn, and what I can tell you is I won't be able to see it. So I guess if they do, would you tell me? We'll be right back with Overtime on the RP Show.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. And listen, got a note from our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Yeah, they've got mini stick mayhem going on this Saturday at Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. But you need to sign up first. So go to overtimehl.ca or through their social media channels, Overtime Hockey Lanes. It's like a batting cage for baseball, driving range for golf, but it's for hockey, and it's so amazing, and I can't wait to see them this summer. Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. Leonard Ferguson writes in with some breaking news. He says, breaking news, CNN founder Ted Turner has passed away. For the older viewers, they'll get this. The younger viewers won't have a sniff. Yeah, he founded CNN, but he married Jane Fonda, and that's pretty cool. I think they're still together. So condolences to Jane Fonda. Vancouver Eric writes in and says, I like this. He says, biggest ever ratings? Okay. Just go with it, I've been told. What are we going to do? Challenge it? Sure. Good for you. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in. He says, I miss the French maid. But Spanish will get you further in the world now. We don't go to those places anymore. We had fun when we did. 902-518-30. You know, I used to host these sports trips. It was a farmer by the name of Marcel. Came down here to South Florida. 60 farmers on this trip. He's like, Rod, let's go to the strip club. I'm like, I don't do that anymore, Marcel. I'm responsible now. He goes, we can still be responsible at a strip club. You go. I don't know. I don't even know if they went. Here's the other thing with the Habs. Chad's watching from the bridge. He writes in, he says, go, Habs, go. Almost time for a new bobblehead for you, RP. He's the guy that did the bobbleheads of Moose and I. Over the one right next to my dad's goalie mask there is me. Thank you, Chad. I will say this about the Habs fans. I really do love them. They've been really good. Some of my closest friends are. A lot of them. Tony Plater, Tom Shepard, Chad Glasser, Bob Merrier, the gentleman that I told you about off the top of the show that was going in for emergency cancer surgery today, and then they postponed it on the poor guy. You think that might screw with your mind a little bit. But anyways, we sat there on the phone on FaceTime last night, and he's like, how long do I have you? I said, as long as you need me. And the conversation got around to, ole, ole, ole. They don't trash other teams. They just love their own team. So many other fan bases could learn a lot from Habs fans. We will have a quandary if the Habs and Golden Knights meet in the Stanley Cup final. I've just made the decision in my mind. I'll be cheering for the Golden Knights. But I'll be happy for both. There is place in the world for that. That's how I feel. I get not everybody is that way, but that's the way I am. Laverne is watching in the Frontier City. I just closed it. Sorry. He just said, he goes, if I had my way, it would be Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Everybody's into it. I love it. Tomorrow, I'm not quite sure who we're going to have. It'll be somebody good. I'm pretty sure it's going to be my guy, Richie Leone, former Arizona Cardinals punter, longtime CFL punter, BC Lions, Ottawa Redblacks. Here's the thing. He's his first year out of the pro football game. And he's got life. He's got a job. So we're trying to work out a way to get Richie on. But I'll never forget. We were sitting at my friend's place in Scottsdale, Arizona. Murray Bielik. And Richie was there with his girlfriend at the time. I don't think we'll bring this up tomorrow. But Murray was like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a kicker. Oh, for who? The Cardinals? The Arizona Cardinals? Yeah. That guy will be on the program tomorrow. Oh, I hope so. We're trying to work. At some point, Richie will be on here. And I think he's going to be great because for the CFL fans, and God bless you, little pea-picking hearts, a lot of them been writing in about rookie camps opening up this week. Listen, obviously I don't cover the CFL in that way anymore, but I also don't care about the Florida Panthers rookie camps. I don't. However, go give Richie Leone a follow because if you know your stuff and you're witty enough, you could have a lot of fun being a sports media pundit now and not have to answer to anybody. Richie's given his thoughts on the new CFL playoff format, which when he joins us, we'll talk about that and his NFL career and a lot of cool things. He's a great guy. Probably the best head of hair in sports. I ain't joking. Besides Moose. So, yeah, we'll get Richie on. He was texting me during the show earlier. Football players. Hello, Ryan from upstate New York. He says, have a great Wednesday, Rod Squad. You too, Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you. John says, I love hearing from kickers. They have quirky personalities. Here's the thing. He's a punter, which is different than a kicker. He's just a little more normal than kickers. And as you see, we don't have any kickers on this show. We're trying. We'll probably get Brett Lother, but goalies are just a whole other kettle of fish that we don't have time here. And John Ohm goes on to say, have a great day, everyone. Make someone smile. Mostly, John, make yourself smile, though. And it was nice to have everybody back together, the gang. And we'll be doing this over the next couple of days. I know that Kevin the Medium won't be with us tomorrow, so I think hour one might be more solo. Larry King of Sports. John in Winnipeg, hello. I think we can get through it just fine. But Kevin the Medium will be with us for a Football Friday. And probably Mike Davis, too. But you know what? As we say, one day at a time. So make it a good one because you never know when it's going to be your last. We'll see you tomorrow on the RP Show.
Good.